The chain rattled each time the wind cut across the yard. Clara May's wrist bled where iron met skin, the sun baking her shoulders raw. Her breath came ragged, and her swollen belly heaved against the rope cinched round her waist. She bowed her head, not in surrender, but because the light hurt too much to face. Flies gathered. Somewhere, a crow croaked, waiting. The town did not stir. Doors stayed shut, curtains drawn. Only the dust rolled free. Then hooves. Slow. One rider. The sound echoed down the empty main street, each strike of hoof on hard-panted drumbeat that made her throat tighten. The horse stopped in front of her. She lifted her face. A man sat the saddle. Slouched,
This
gray-bearded,
is a Western,
shoulders
and this
bent as though the
is the
sun pressed
beginning
heavier
of
on
the
him
end.
than anyone else. His hat was low, brim shadowing eyes she couldn't see. A canteen dangled from the saddle horn. He did not speak. She swallowed, lips cracked, a dry croak escaping. Go. They'll kill you. The man swung down, boots settling in the dust with a thud. He moved without hurry, a limp in his step, like someone long used of pain. He unhooked the canteen, kneeling in the dirt beside her. His hands were calloused, scarred. He held the tin mouth of the canteen against her lips. Water trickled. It burned down her throat like fire, but she drank until he pulled it back. His voice was low, rough as gravel. That ain't how this ends. Her eyes blurred. She shook her head weakly. You don't know them. Don't need to. The chain groaned when he set his hand on it, testing the iron. His touch was steady, controlled. Not reckless. Not afraid. Hooves again. This time not one horse, two. Clara's body stiffened, and her head snapped toward the sound. Two riders came trotting in, dust kicking from their spurs. Blackthorn men, hats low, pistols on their hips. They grinned when they saw the stranger crouched beside her. Well, hell, one drawled. Looks like we got ourselves a do-gooder. The other spat in the dirt. Reckoned Silas would want to hang him next to her. The rancher straightened, slow, dusting off his knees. His eyes stayed on Clara, as though the riders weren't even there. One outlaw barked a laugh, circling closer. Ain't you heard? This one's marked. Anybody touches her ends up rotted in by sundown. The rancher's voice was calm, quiet. She ain't yours to mark. Bold words. The second sneered, swinging down from his horse. He strode up and shoved the rancher in the chest. The man staggered back one step, no more. His eyes finally lifted, and Clara caught them for the first time. Not the eyes of a farmer. Sharp, steady, the kind of eyes that measured distance before a draw. The outlaw grinned, reaching for his revolver. It happened so fast Clara gasped. The rancher's hand shot out, clamping the outlaw's wrist, twisting it hard. A crack split the air, bone against bone, and the pistol fell into the dust. The outlaw screamed, dropping to his knees, clutching his arm. The second rider cursed, yanking his revolver free, but the rancher already had the first pistol in his hand. The barrel leveled, steady as stone. The outlaw froze, eyes wide, fingers stiff above the trigger but unwilling to test the stare fixed on him. For a heartbeat, only the crow spoke. The rancher thumbed back the hammer, then let it fall silent. He tossed the gun aside into the dust. Go! The two men scrambled up, dragging themselves to their horses. Dust sprayed as they fled down the road, one holding his broken arm, both shouting Silas Blackthorn's name into the wind. Clara stared at the rancher, heart pounding, chains clinking against her chest. Her lips parted. You ain't no rancher. He turned to her, lifting the canteen again, the lines of his face unreadable. He tipped it once more to her lips. Drink, he said simply. She obeyed, water spilling down her chin. Her body trembled, but not from weakness alone. He eased her back against the post. His hand lingered a moment at her shoulder, gentle, almost reverent. The silence pressed heavy again. The town doors still stayed shut. Only whispers moved behind the wood and glass. Somewhere a child asked in a hushed voice, "Mama, who's he?" No answer came. The rancher settled into the dirt beside her, back against the post, hat tipped low. He kept one eye on the road, watching for the dust that would mean Silas was coming. His other hand rested on the chain that bound her, fingers tracing iron links like he was memorizing them. She shifted, pain rippling through her belly. Her breath caught, fear rising sharper than the sunburn on her skin. She turned her head to him, whispering through grit and tears. "If they kill me, promise you'll save the child." He didn't look at her. His jaw tightened, a tremor in his voice when he finally spoke. "I ain't letting them kill you." A tear slipped down her cheek, cutting through dust. "You don't know that." His eyes flicked to her then, steady and unflinching. "I lost one woman to a storm. Ain't losing another to chains." Her lips parted, but no words came. The weight in his voice silenced her more than iron ever could. Above them, the sky darkened. Clouds of dust rolled in with the shifting wind. Somewhere far down the road, the faint thunder of hooves began to rise. Clara's pulse quickened. The baby shifted within her, heavy, urgent, as though even the child could sense what was coming. The rancher pushed himself to his feet, one hand resting on the revolver he'd set in the dirt. He lifted his face into the wind, gray hair stirring beneath the brim of his hat. Whispers slid down the street, through shutters and door cracks, carried on fear and hope alike. "The ghost!" someone murmured. Asterisk, the ghost walks again. Asterisk, Clara turned her head, chained groaning, eyes fixed on him. "Who are you?" she whispered. The man said nothing. He only watched the horizon where the dust was rising, waiting for Blackthorn. The ground shook before the sun had cleared the ridges. Hooves thundered, rolling closer, rattling the boards of shuttered windows. Dogs barked and went silent. Mothers pulled children down beneath tables. The town held its breath. Clara May clutched the post, chains clinking as she turned. Dust boiled on the road. Riders, a dozen or more. Blackthorn's gang. At their head rode Silas Blackthorn, black coat flapping, hat tipped back to show a grin stretched too wide. His eyes burned pale in the rising light, cruel and certain. "Thought I smelled something," Silas called as he reined in. His men fanned out, hooves grinding dust into powder. Rifles gleamed. Pistols hung loose in cocky hands. "A hero in my yard." Elias Cole stood in the dirt, hat low, shoulders square, one hand brushing the iron chain at Clara's side. He said nothing. Silas laughed. "You break my men, old-timer? Break their bones, send 'em whining home?" He leaned forward in the saddle, teeth flashing. "I ought to thank you. Been a spell since we had sport." The gang roared, whooping, spitting, cocking guns. Elias's voice cut through, flat and cold. "You'll ride out, leave her free, or you'll leave in the ground." The laughter faltered. Silas blinked, then threw his head back in a bark of mirth. "You hear that? Old Mule thinks he's a wolf." He pointed a gloved hand at Elias. "String him. Make the girl watch." The first rider spurred forward. Dust exploded as hooves pounded. His pistol came up. Elias moved. One step, one draw. The revolver barked thunder. The rider tumbled sideways, horse shrieking as the man hit dirt lifeless. The yard froze. Smoke curled from the barrel in Elias's hand. His eyes were steady, empty of fear. Silas's grin slipped. "Ghost!" one of the men whispered. Another spat and crossed himself. The name rippled like wind through the ranks. The war ghost. A story they'd heard, a curse they half believed. A man who walked battlefields like a phantom, leaving no survivors. Silas snarled, shoving fear from the air with rage. "Kill him." Gunfire erupted. Elias dropped, rolled, and fired clean. One shot. Two. Three. Each hit a man from the saddle. Horses screamed, bodies fell, dust churned. Clara pressed against the post, chains rattling, heart hammering in her throat. Elias moved like smoke, never still. He used the trough for cover, shot through its boards. He ducked behind the corral, firing from shadows. Each bullet was chosen, each step measured. No wasted breath, no wasted round. Men cursed, fired wild, shouted for him. But the ghost was never where they looked. Clara's breath tore ragged. The baby twisted within her, pain slicing her belly sharp. She bit her lip till blood filled her mouth. clutching her stomach, eyes fixed on the storm of gunfire and dust. Another man screamed. Falling, another horse bolted riderless. "Damn you!" Silas roared, shoving his men forward. He pulled his own revolver, aiming at the post where Clara chained. "Come out, Ghost, or she dies." The yard went still. Clara gasped, iron cutting deeper into her wrists as Silas pressed the barrel to her swollen belly. The outlaws shifted, watching. From the dust, Elias stepped, his revolver lowered, his boots dragging slow, deliberate. Hat brim shadowed his face, but his eyes burned clear, fixed on Silas. "Let her go." Silas grinned wide again, pistol hard against Clara's body. "You're good, Ghost, but you ain't faster than this." Clara shook her head, whispering, "Don't." Elias's hand stayed steady at his side. His voice came low, tight with something deeper than rage. "You touch her, you'll beg me for death." Silas sneered. Big words. He jerked Clara closer, her chains grinding, her cries sharp. "But you ain't the only one who knows fear." Her eyes locked on Elias's. She saw it then, not just skill, not just fire. She saw a wound carried too long, a promise buried in silence. Her breath came ragged, but her voice hardened. "Do it," she whispered, not to Silas, to Elias. Silas blinked, confused by her tone. That blink was enough. Clara moved. With a cry, she jerked the broken end of her chain, swinging it wide. The iron link snapped across Silas's throat. He choked, staggered, arm jerking. Elias's revolver flared. The bullet cut past Clara's cheek, straight through Silas Blackthorn's skull. Silas dropped, chain slipping free from his grasp. He hit the dust with a heavy thud, his pistol skittering from dead fingers. The yard fell silent except for the ringing echo of that one shot. The outlaws stared, frozen. Then one by one they turned their horses, spurring hard, fleeing into the rising dust. No one looked back. Clara slumped, body racked with pain. The chain slipped from her hands as she fell to her knees, crying out. Elias was there, catching her before she hit the ground. Her face twisted, sweat pouring, hands clenching her belly. "It's time," she gasped. His breath hitched. For the first time that day, his hands shook. "Lord help me." He laid her down gentle on the dirt, tearing the rope from her waist, breaking the last links of the chain. He stripped off his coat, laying it beneath her. She screamed, clutching his arm, eyes wild with pain. The baby pushed, tearing through her with each cry. Elias held her steady, voice breaking but firm. "Breathe. Hold on, Clara. Hold on." The dawn bled across the sky. The yard that had held death now held birth. The cries of a child split the silence, sharp and alive. Elias lifted the newborn, small and slick in his scarred hands, his gray eyes shining wet. Clara collapsed back, gasping, tears streaming down dust-streaked cheeks. "Alive," she whispered. "Alive." Elias breathed, his voice cracked, strong. He wrapped the child in his coat, pressing it into her arms. For a moment, all the ghosts in his eyes seemed to fade, replaced by something like peace. Around them, the town's doors creaked open. Faces appeared, wide-eyed, hushed. They had seen the ghost walk again. They had seen Silas fall. Clara cradled her child. Elias sat back in the dust, the revolver loose in his hand, staring at the horizon. When he rose, he said nothing. He only cinched the saddle, mounted, and turned toward the empty desert. Behind him, a baby cried, a mother wept, and a town began to breathe again. Some swore he vanished into the storm, leaving nothing but tracks. Some swore he stayed, unseen, guarding mother and child like a shadow. But all who tell it agree. On the day a woman chained to a post gave birth beneath the guns of Blackthorn's men, a rancher whispered,